Hello and welcome to this interview with the Lord Mayor of London, William Russell. Thank you for this interview. So we are in the post-Brexit era. What are the UK's priorities in the GCC?
So I'm very optimistic in the post-Brexit era. I think I was in Abu Dhabi 2 weeks ago, and the message was one of about clarity. Having the government, the election back in December, and knowing that we've got a government for 5 years provides good clarity. Our relationship's very strong with the Gulf, and we're looking forward to continuing to strengthen that relationship with further investment on both sides. Obviously, we've got Expo 2020 at the end in October, and then we have COP26. Up in Glasgow in November, and the whole green space is something that we're very keen to show the world that we can show leadership, like the UAE did in the Sustainable Forum that I went to a couple of weeks ago.
Is the idea of free trade agreement with the GCC on the table?
I think it would be great to have a free trade agreement. I'm sure it's something that government will discuss with the Gulf states. We already have great trading arrangements, and we can continue to enhance those now that we're in a position to come up with maybe a new free trade agreement.
What possible sectors?
Well,
new sectors.
Well, new sectors. Well, I'm in the services sector, mostly financial services. So some of the two sectors that are growing very quickly here in the financial services are the fintech sector, where we have over 70,000 employees in the UK around fintech, and I think that's very much a sector that we could work with the Gulf states on. And then green finance. I think green finance is where fintech was a couple of years ago, and I think there's a huge opportunity in this space to do some good investments both ways, and I think there are great opportunities. I mean, there's so much to do between now and 2050, when we have said we will be emission free, and there's so much investment needed that it's an exciting time.
What about Saudi Arabia? I mean, are you in talks already? Are there new ideas on the table?
I think with Saudi Arabia, we talk to Saudi Arabia. I don't know any specific things that are going on, but I'm sure there'll be some positive talks about what we can do with Saudi Arabia as well.
What can the UK offer the GCC that the rest of the world can't, and vice versa?
So, as Mayor of the City of London, my role is ambassador for financial and professional services that employs 2.3 million people around the UK. So, my role is really around financial services. So there's a huge amount we can offer. I've already mentioned the fintech and the green finance, the rule of law, insurance, cyber security. There are lots of things that we can do in the financial sector space to share with our friends in the Gulf, and that's something which I'll be talking about. I went on a visit before Christmas to San Francisco to visit a whole lot of venture capital companies out there who are very keen to invest more venture capital, particularly in the fintech space.
What could be the incentives for GCC countries? Are we talking about tax exemptions? Any ideas?
So I would leave that more to government than me. My role is to try and promote the city and the UK around financial services. As far as tax breaks, that would have to come from the government. But I do believe that in the green finance sector, it's very important that we have private and public sectors coming together and working to invest together. So I know for a fact that one of the big issues we have is we need an infrastructure for all these electric cars. They're going to be out there in years to come. And I know that some investment funds from out of the Gulf have invested alongside government into that, helping with that infrastructure. So
you're going on a GCC tour post-Brexit, amid so many rumors and speculations. What are you going to tell GCC countries about the UK?
So what I'm going to tell about the UK is that we're very optimistic about the future. I think the EU needs us and we need them. And yes, there's going to be lots of headline news in the newspapers about Europe saying this, the British government saying this, but as we know, behind the scenes, it's a different world, and I think it's a positive, fresh start for all of us, and I think you'll be surprised at how we come to some very good agreements. But coming back to my initial point, the clarity bit is very important. One thing we do know is that you're going to have this government in power for the next 5 years and maybe beyond. And I think that clarity is something that is helping investment come in to the UK. Please
allow me to ask a few of the rumors that are being spread worldwide and across the Middle East. Like they're saying there will be a financial crisis and crash in the UK. London will not be anymore a financial center, an international financial center. Can you answer briefly those rumors?
Well, no, that's the first I've heard of those rumors. When I was as I said, in the Gulf 2 weeks ago, that wasn't even mentioned. London and maybe New York are the top 2 financial centers in the world. That's not going to change, and everybody, all the experts you speak to would confirm that. Look, we will lose some market share to Paris and Frankfurt and to Dublin and Amsterdam. But, you know, whether we have, one of the things I talk about London, and you live here in London, it's one of the greatest cities, if not the greatest city in the world to live. So we attract the talent, and a lot of it's all about talent. The talent comes here. Amazon have just announced they want to open a bigger office. We're the tech center of Europe as well. And the the biggest differentiator is that we have culture and the arts that no other city has. 110 theatres we have, and there's another theatre opening down the road at King's Cross from here, so that will take us to 111. So all the people want to live here. There was a story I heard the other day, which is a good story about a US bank that was hoping to move some people to Frankfurt, and they were, you know, I think the people originally said that they were keen to go, and then within 24 hours they said, we'll weekly commute, we can't leave London, our family's happy here, our spouses are happy here, and that is one of the great strengths of London. So London's here to stay. Look at our history. I'm the 692nd Lord Mayor of the City of London. There have been over 800 of them, and I think that it would be fair to say that London will continue to thrive.
One final question. Yes. There's no need to convince the Arab world of the UK. They love the UK. They send students here. They invest here. They live here. Their exiles are here. Yes. But I just want to see how post-Brexit, after the UK has left Europe, what do you think, from the UK perspective, are the chances for the GCC countries, for Arab investors? What's going to be tempting for them here?
Investment-wise? I think a lot of it's around the infrastructure.
I mean, is it an opportunity for Arabs?
Well, so I think it is an opportunity. So our currency is still down at the levels since we left Brexit.
Yes, it's good for the Arab tourists.
Exactly, good, and good for investing.
Everybody's asking about the pound price.
So look, I mean, as I said, there's going to be a lot of noise before we get to December, and we admit that there are going to be some bumps along the road. I think it's a challenging target, the end of December, to do everything, and I'm confident we'll do a lot of it. You know, there may be a few things that we'll sort out afterwards, but the Prime Minister made it very clear that that's the deadline, and we'll do our utmost to get there, as I'm sure our European friends will as well. But with the currency where it is, and with some of the infrastructure projects, and as you know, the Prime Minister made it very clear that he wants to you know, invest in the regions, and that is something which I think is an opportunity. So I have said, look, if you find London too expensive, there's some very good investments in Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, Newcastle, Cardiff, Belfast, that are very good value. So it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity, without a doubt. Thank you very much for this interview. Thank you.